in this fourth video on Surds, we're going to have a look at a skill called Rationalising the denominator. This is an A-star skill, and it's quite difficult to do. It requires that we have a really good knowledge of fractions before we start to do this. So, if I take this fraction 1 over root 6, I can see that the denominator is currently an irrational number. I'm going to need to rationalise this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually multiply it by 1. Because if I times anything by 1, then it doesn't change the value of it. 1 over root 6 times it by 1 is still 1 over root 6. But you'll notice the denominator hasn't changed. So what I need to do is I need to be quite clever. Instead of using the integer 1, I'm going to use a fraction that represents the value 1. Now there are lots of fractions that do this. For example, 2 over 2 is 1. 10 over 10 is 1. I'm actually going to use this fraction. Root 6 over root 6, and as long as the numerator and denominator are the same, the fraction will always have the value of 1. The reason why I choose root 6 over root 6 is because this denominator that's irrational is root 6. Let's have a look at what happens. So 1 over root 6, and if I times it by 1, remember root 6 over root 6 is the same as the value 1, 1 times root 6 is root 6. And root 6 times root 6 actually gives me 6 for that value. So the denominator is now rationalised. It doesn't matter that the numerator is a surd, that's okay. I've rationalised the denominator. This is my final answer. In the second example, the question asks me to express this in the form a root b. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to have a go at rationalising my denominator. If you remember from the previous example, I'm going to multiply it by 1. But here I'm going to multiply it by root 2 over root 2 because the irrational denominator here is root 2. Now when I multiply this thing out, 6 times root 2 is 6 root 2's, and that's over root 2 times root 2, which is 2. The denominator is now rationalised, but this thing can be simplified up even more. 6 divided by 2 is 3 root 2's as my final answer. Here are 4 questions to have a go at yourself. Be very careful, look for the denominator. This will help you decide what you're going to multiply the fraction by. Hit pause when you're ready to go through some answers, press play and I'll talk you through them. Okay, in this first one, 2 over root 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by root 3. This will give me 2 root 3 over 3. And I'm happy with that as my final answer. In this second example, 10 over root 5, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by root 5, giving me 10 root 5 over 5. Now notice that like in the second example, this will actually simplify down to 2 root 5. In this third question, 15 root 5, I'm going to times top and bottom by root 5. So this will give me 15 root 5 over 5. And again, this will simplify even more. 15 divided by 5 gives me 3, lots of root 5. In this fourth question, 1 over root 2, I'm going to times the top and the bottom by the square root of 2, and this will give me root 2 over 2. The denominator here has been rationalised, there's no further simplification to do, and I'm okay with this as my final answer. Well done if you got all 4 of these correct. Thanks for listening.